This week on a podcast from beneath, it's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Coming to get you, Barbara. It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder. The unburied dead are coming back to life, seeking human victims.
Aaron, how's it going?
I'm doing fantastic, and we got some guests with us today on our little episode. First one is director, awesome director of Circus of the Dead. He's got some upcoming projects, but Bloody Bill Pawn, how you doing?
I'm good. I was carrying that mask that kind of masked my farts, but it's not working. What are you gonna do, you know?
And then a good friend of the show of myself and my wife, Stephanie Escmilla. She has Skin Deep FX and Steph's Horror Dolls, and she's joining us on this as well.
Oh, hello.
Hello, welcome both of you to the show. Hopefully our other co-host will be joining here a little bit. He said he was running a bit
Billy's
late.
always late.
But yeah, we'll go ahead and get started anyways. So how have you guys been holding up during this pandemic?
I've been working. That's all I've been doing. So aside from special effects, I do nursing. So kind of get ideas doing my nursing stuff.
There you go. Have you made a COVID doll yet?
No, I have not. I really haven't. I have not done that. No.
Yeah.
Billy, how you been holding up during this?
I've been doing pretty good. I've been mostly watching the National Geographic Channel and masturbating.
There you go.
Probably about it.
So, Stephanie, now I've talked to you before on another show. Billy, since this is your first time here, we're going to have to find out what your favorite horror movie is.
It's Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's your favorite one?
Yeah, 74, hands down.
Yeah,
all right. Well, then you picked a good episode to be on.
Yeah, it was like something larger than ourselves kind of did divine intervention and said, he needs to be here minus his beard.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, and you know, when we were talking about this, I was like, oh, there's some people I know I want on here to talk about this movie. And I mean, you're the first one that came to mind, Billy. I reached out to William Instone, but he's super busy with his film.
Mm-hmm.
And then reached out to Stephanie because she's doing. You want to tell us what you're involved in, Stephanie?
So I'm involved with the Sawyer Massacre. So it's a film favorite or a fan feature film for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Canadian director Steve Merlot has this huge production set. We're trying to get that paid through Indiegogo. So we have that campaign going right now. And so we're pretty excited. We have some good perks. So y'all go to my Facebook page. The link is there for the Indiegogo account. Some of the face masks, I'm going to do some replicas of the face masks that will be used in the film. So those will be part of the perks. And we were considering my dolls. My little Chainsaw Massacre doll.
Awesome.
But we haven't determined that yet.
Chainsaw. Yeah, show the chainsaw.
Oh yeah, the little chainsaw.
I just haven't attached it yet. But no, but yeah, so we have that going on. So I'm pretty excited to be a part of that. I just watched the film again from 1974, by the way. And so I watched it as a kid and I hadn't watched it till now. So it was pretty interesting to see all the special effects and how they did it. And I just hope I could somewhat replicate what they did.
Nice. Now, so, Billy, I was going to say, Billy, I started watching it, but haven't finished it yet. Circus of the Dead. So far, I'm pretty impressed with it. Only question is, was that the circus? Did you set all that up, or was there an actual circus in town? That's where you filmed it at?
No, I rented the circus and everything, and they come out of Maybank, Texas, which is close to Dallas, and I'm out in West Texas. was in the Odessa area at the time, and it's basically halfway between Dallas and El Paso. Is where Odessa's at. And no, actually, I paid them to come out and set up their stuff. So it was funny. Those, Bill Oberst and Paris Randall got on set, and I heard them talking, and they said, "Shit, this dude brought in a real circus. This is unbelievable." Because I guess apparently in most indie movies they'll put up just a tarp or something in the background and pretend it's a circus. So
right, black trash bag is usually what you see.
Yeah, and that goes back to my love for chainsaws. Just the detail that was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre it inspired me too. I did haunted houses before movies. Now I'm no special effects person. Me and Lee Anchor, my co-writer, but we dabble in it a little bit for our haunts, but we're more of those people that find things in the trash or at thrift stores to use than go to, a Halloween Spirits or anything like that. I don't like that store-bought stuff. So,
all right. Well, before we move on to our feature here, normally we'll do some segments on. I have a Tales from Tubi, but I didn't watch anything on Tubi this week. But I did watch something I want to talk about, and it was on Shudder, and it's The Caller Out of Space.
Oh, you
guys
saw
have
it?
not? Yeah, if you haven't seen this movie yet, it's a H.P. Lovecraft, stars Nicolas Cage, and it's fucking weird.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. I wanted to see it.
Yeah, it's on Shudder. I recommend it. It's kind of it's got a slow beginning, but once you get into it, it's pretty.
It's a sci-fi horror.
Yeah, I would say sci-fi horror.
I would say
Okay.
that.
It involves otherworldly things that happen. But yeah, so if you haven't seen that one, I definitely recommend it. Like I said, it's on Shudder. Caller Out of Space, definitely a good one.
Very cool.
All
Yeah,
right,
I saw on was that on Shudder? They had the what was the one about the movie Cursed Films?
yeah, Cursed Films. Yeah, I watched that too. That's really good.
That Crow episode. I didn't know anything about that Michael Berryman stuff. Did you guys before you seen that? Because that was new to me.
Yeah, because I've got the DVD and it's got the deleted
Okay.
scenes on there. Yeah.
But how cool was that character? I'm going to do something like him as a tribute in Cowboys from Hell. So maybe I can get him to come out and do something in there and maybe recreate something a little bit like that out of
That'd be great.
dedication or something.
Yeah. So, Mr. Poe,
Yes.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Tell us about it. What'd you like about it?
Oh man. Rewatching it this morning before I went into work. I've always dug the detail in movies. I look for that. It just shows that they actually cared about the scenes. And man, it's so awesome to watch it again. And every time I watch it, I catch something different. And I'll see something in the background I didn't see before, or I didn't really pay attention. But and of course, being from Texas, it's just one of those movies I hold close to my heart, man. I love it.
Stephanie, what about you?
Well, I like the detail. Well, the special effects for 1974 weren't too bad, actually. I was watching it when he goes in, puts the girl on the meat hook, and the blood splatters. I'm like, what were they using back then? 1974. It was actually quite interesting. Like I was talking about the face mask earlier. It looked plastic, but almost real. Sort of real. Because it looked like it was just like the first layer of skin was he skinned the first layer of the skin. So it's kind of really thin. But I didn't realize it until when they were having dinner, getting ready to have dinner while the girl's tied up and on the chairs with the hands, with the grandpa, that he had a different face on with makeup on. And I'm like, that is so awesome.
Yeah. That one right there.
Pretty Woman.
Yeah, that was, yeah. So when I saw that one, I kind of came up with the doll version of it. I'm like, okay, I think I can come up with that. That's pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. It was a little comical. It wasn't that scary, but I did enjoy it quite a bit. Like I liked all that stuff. It's pretty cool.
Billy, give us your thoughts on it.
I'm biased, but it's the quintessential perfect horror film to me is it's not as scary as it was when I first saw it, but things have changed a lot then, and now reality is worse than anything you'll ever see in a movie, and it left some things to the imagination where it would pan off or this or that, and which was kind of cool back then. But then, like, Franklin getting it through the gut or nothing. And there shouldn't be any spoiler warnings at this point. Surely somebody's
No.
Yeah,
But
right.
anyway, it had some good stuff in it for the time and everything. But to me, is what I get out of it is it actually feels, smells, looks, sounds like Texas. And everything that's come along since then, maybe too a little bit, but nothing else felt like it. And I mean, and like these new ones are being shot in where's it? Bumfuck Egypt or something? What is that over there? What is it? Bulgaria or something?
Yeah,
That's not Texas. I mean, you know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
Now, I mean, I'm not, now that she was mentioning too, is I saw their campaign come up and somebody sent me something, but I want to go on here and tell everybody, if you send me something on Facebook Messenger, believe that if I can't get to it at that moment, then the next thing I know, I get like 300 messages and it gets pushed down. So I need to go back and revisit that. But she did say she just had a Canadian director on there, and I was like going to scratch my head a little bit on that one. But we'll see what they do with Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes, we're actually looking for a place here in Texas to film, and we're trying to find a location with. He's trying to find a house with a basement. So I don't know. So yeah, it will be filmed here in Texas. It's not going to be in Canada or anything like that.
Mr. Poe, do you got a basement?
No, I don't, and I'm not going to tell you if I do.
Tell them the truth, Poe. Is like, I really don't. What's funny is we have so many tornadoes and stuff here. You think we'd have a lot of basements,
right?
But I haven't seen. I mean, in my whole life of 50 years, you guys, I don't think I've seen a basement in Texas other than a building or an old closed down business or something. I've never seen a basement in a house in Texas much. Believe it or not, we had storm cellars.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one place in Palestine, Texas. It was a historical home, and that one did have a really small basement. But I mean, he's looking for something super old and scary looking.
Well,
nothing,
I tell you what, I guarantee you I can help you with that because I'll get you in touch with Mr. Parrish Randall of Pride of Texas. And
okay.
Yeah, you guys let that guy be a part of something on there. I bet you he'd be happy to find you something. And he finds the best locations in the world for some reason because everybody loves him so much. But he was a really good friend of Marilyn Burns too, and he has these tapes. I'm not going to go and say too much because I'm sworn to secrecy on it. But he and her recorded these interviews, like 20 hours worth of stuff, and from Poltergeist when she was dating Toby Hooper to all this kind of stuff, and it's so interesting. Wow. But he's a walking encyclopedia on Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Parrish is, and that's one of his favorite movies too. So you can definitely reach out to him, and I'll connect you with him. And
awesome.
What he says, because I guarantee he's got some houses back east that he could probably point you in the direction of.
Yeah, because Steve was wanting us to find someone that he could come in contact with to see about finding a location.
Yeah, it'd be Parrish. Parrish is a good dude too, and I would recommend him to anybody because he's a wonderful person and a really good ambassador for Texas. So.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, do you think that the low budget of this movie and I guess we'll say guerrilla filmmaking, do you think that's what gave it its almost seems like like a real true, like, I mean, it seems real, right? It's almost like almost documentary, I'm saying, feel to it.
Well, and they said, part of the appeal to that was John Larroquette's, the little monologue before the movie starts. John Larroquette read it, and people thought, holy crap, this thing, they thought it was based on a true story, but it's kind of loosely is, but not in Texas.
Right.
We'll get into that later. But I think that you're right. It's guerrilla style. But they just did such a great job with it, I think.
And you go past that too, to the point of look at what Toby Hooper did after that. He kind of got a little Hollywood after that.
Yeah.
Nothing ever felt the same way. So I dare say when people ask me that kind of question, I kind of dare say it was like the perfect storm. Like whatever was going on there, and you might have to ask the surviving members and stuff, because I heard they had hell that summer filming and stuff, and the heat and all that kind of stuff. I know that like Gunnar actually really cut himself on the chainsaw or something weird and stuff. There's like lots of stories about that.
Wow.
I always thought a movie about the production would be a really good movie too.
Yeah, definitely.
He actually cut himself with he didn't cut himself when he did That's the actor with the that played the actual character, right? With the chainsaw. Okay. Yeah. So he actually had a metal plate on his leg when he cut himself, when he falls and it lands on his leg. That's actually a piece of steak that he's got on there. And so from the heat, he actually burned himself on the skin from the heat from when the land, and he wouldn't allow anyone else to do that. So he did it on his own. Like he dropped it on. Yeah, because he's like, I won't trust anybody to do it, which I don't blame. And I actually have to replicate something similar like that on this next film. So I have to reassure my actress that she'll be okay.
Yeah, but I just think the look of this film, it feels dirty. You know what I'm saying? You when you're watching, you feel the grime. And of course, I know when they were filming it, they had a lot of, I guess, animal carcasses that were rotting on the set, giving off a smell. And I guess because of the heat, they couldn't, or they didn't want to use fake blood made out of carrot syrup. So a lot of the blood is real.
Yeah, I mean, but think about it. In the 70s, as I grew up, even in the 80s, and when we were doing haunted houses, there was no spirit, Halloween store to make up, or even if you wanted to learn something, you had to get a book from the library is the best you could do. And it had like a Dick Smith book, I want to say, that I checked out hundreds of times or something as a kid. But you had to make all that up. And I bet you it was easier to get real meat and real stuff like that because it was Texas at the time. Because you couldn't go to eBay or Amazon then, so it was kind of.
They probably used a lot of pig's blood or something similar.
Well, I know the end of the film, the dinner scene where they cut her finger so she can feed the grandpa.
Oh, that was so gross.
She was just like, just go ahead. And they really cut her finger. She was just like, yeah, just go ahead and do it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff they actually did on themselves. Like they actually allowed it to happen. But that was disgusting. That was so nasty.
I think that's this is what made the movie, to me, like it makes you feel disgusting when you watch it.
Oh yeah.
Like in a good way though, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the most frustrating part of the movie for me was the guy on the wheelchair.
That's what I say. That was going to be my question was, did this movie have the most annoying character ever?
I love him though. I love Franklin. I can't imagine a movie without him being as special, honestly. And how many movies have you seen somebody in a wheelchair?
No, you're right.
Right.
You're right.
Friday the 13th, that's the only one I can think of. I think Aaron had to turn his mic off there for a second.
Yes,
there he is.
I did. I'm back.
Now, I know you didn't finish Circus yet, but that's what I said is just catching the feel and the smell of Texas is kind of tough to do on film. And I think that's the one thing I'll admit that I did get right. I'll admit that a lot of other things suck, but I will admit that we got that right. It really feels like a Texas film.
Yeah, it's just and that's what I like about this one. And I think you captured a lot of that in yours as well, Billy. That's why I think I remember talking to you at the convention. I said, yeah, I love your film. You go, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah.
But that's what I like. And I guess, being from down here, I grew up down in Comstock, Texas.
Okay.
And I've been all over Texas, but I mean, it just has that feel.
Yes.
And when people watch this, they're like, is it really like that? Well, there's buildings that look like that and dead animal carcasses all over the place because people run things over. I mean,
these remakes and stuff is somebody trying to have a slang accent or something. Like what you're hearing from me is real right now, and that's what Texas Chainsaw Massacre needs. Is it needs that real Texas slang kind of thing, how people talk, a twang, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's what that first movie had. It was like I felt like I was watching a Saturday afternoon hanging out with my grandmother at a store downtown or something, or I went into a lot of stores that looked like that store before to get gas and stuff. So I've been to weird bathrooms and salt pig farms and stuff. So I mean, it hit a little close to home when I was a kid.
Well, speaking of the restaurant, Mr. Poe, you've been to that restaurant.
Oh yeah, the gas station.
So they have it reopened as a tourist. Are we going to call it a tourist attraction?
I guess you could say that. It's a gift shop. A bunch of cool horror stuff in there.
Horror tribute attraction.
Yeah,
Corey Rose. Yeah, I mean,
there you go.
He's done a good thing there. I mean, he was wanting the house too. I wish he could have got that house because he would have done what was right for it. Because it's kind of a place where diehards like us can go and make a trek once a year or something, and it's real special what Roy's doing out there and stuff. So there needs to be more horror lovers out there doing this kind of stuff, because we would do that for Night of the Living Dead or Halloween or any of that stuff. I'm sure we'd all make those trips for those classics, I bet.
Oh, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Stephanie, with your FX background,
Yeah.
Other than, because I know you said you were wondering like, well, how they do like the meat hook scene, all that, was there anything else in here that kind of impressed you as far as like how did they do that in 74?
Well, just that whole scene where the chainsaw lands on his leg, that back in the day, I guess they didn't have like the latex and the the silicone to create that wound, and so it was actually pretty interesting when I watched the documentary and how they created that scene. It was with the metal plate, and then they had like a blood packet underneath the steak. So the steak actually had to get cut all the way down to the bag. So of course you're gonna feel the heat underneath the plate to his leg. So that's probably where he got himself burned. But it's quite interesting to go back and watch the documentary on how they created all those scenes, and it's pretty cool. I mean, where they put the meat hook on her, I read that I believe they were wearing nylon hoses. She was wearing a nylon hose, and they picked her up, and that's how they hung her. And so it makes it look like they're hanging her in the back of their head, but they also have like a bag, I guess, attached to her. So when it hits, it clamps on her or whatever, it shoots out the blood. So, I mean, it's interesting to see that. I mean, nowadays we have the machines that, you just hit the button, it's going to squirt for you, or,
right.
Yeah.
You create the silicone, or you sculpt it, make the mold, and just attach it to them. It's much easier now than back then. So.
And during that scene when he's doing that to her, when he puts her on the hook, I love the scene where her boyfriend is laying on the table. You don't see his head.
Yeah.
And then he gets the chainsaw and starts doing his thing. That right there, I mean, it didn't have to be super gory for you to our minds, fill in that gap with, the most, like, oh my God, what is she seeing? And
yeah.
And a lot of that, you got some very good actors. They weren't the best, but these kids that they got, I mean, they did a pretty damn good job. Every actor on this movie, I thought.
It makes me wonder how that girl did it with her voice. Like, she was screaming the entire time.
Oh my God, she must have not.
Oh my God, she must have lost her voice or something. Because man, I feel for that girl.
She screamed so much.
Now there's a interesting story about her. Is because through Parrish we was real close about getting her into Circus of the Dead, because I wanted to work with her when she was still alive. So we had a little bit of talkings and stuff, and she was excited because she said one of her first jobs was, now I'm going to probably butcher this and Parrish will say I was wrong, but it was something about, she was a plant in a circus. When the clowns come out, she is supposed to freak out and scream and run and stuff like that. She was like a plant in a circus. So that was one of her first jobs, was to run around and scream like she was terrified from clowns or something in a circus.
Wow.
Like that's a true story, believe it or not. That's one of her first jobs, she said, her first acting job.
Huh.
Acting
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so you're not allowed to say Leatherface. What's your favorite character in this movie?
I'm gonna say the cook, but I love the hitchhiker, of course. But I love Jim Cito's portrayal of the cook is just so phenomenal, and he's one of the ones I didn't get to meet because he passed away before I got old enough to meet all these people like I did. But I just always loved his performance and thought that nobody's even touched that performance ever in any of the remakes or anything.
Stephanie?
The lady that was screaming, the one that survives, she was like a trooper, man.
Sally.
She was good. She was very good. I like I said, I just don't know how she made it through with a normal voice after that entire scenario.
Mr. Poe?
Good. I mean, their acting was pretty good. I mean, for 1974, a horror movie, they did some really good. Even the guy on the wheelchair, he was good.
Yeah.
Annoying, but he was still good.
Mr. Poe?
It's a tie between the hitchhiker and the final girl. watching this again, just seeing these performances, like, the hitchhiker, he's in the back and he's just, kind of weird, and everybody's just trying to figure him out.
Yeah.
And, I love that whole scene in the van. They just, oh, okay, he's just whatever. He's a simpleton or whatever. And he's not that, he's crazy as shit. And he starts to unwind. I love how he did it. He started from being like, oh, okay, he's, harmless or whatever. And then it just like transforms slowly. And,
Yeah.
and when the brother, he has to, oh, don't they use that gun and all this? And he's like, oh no, the sledge, that's what I do, and he kind of confuses, like, that's old school stuff. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then you realize later on he wasn't talking about cow.
Yeah. I like how naive they were through that whole scene. They were so naive about everything, almost innocent like I like that they were able to portray that and through that whole scenario right there. Like they're just trying to figure him out, even though he's cutting himself and they're still kind of like, what the hell's going on? I'd be freaking the hell out wanting to get out of that van, I'm like, get the hell, or kick his ass out, but no, they were just like calm, like, okay, this is weird. See where it's going, and then he cuts her brother's hand with the knife, and they're still there, like, I'm like,
yeah, I gotta say, my favorite character is gonna be the hitchhiker. For some reason, he felt so real, right? I mean, compared like to the other characters, he's the one that like that's what creeps you out in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, you got Leatherface, but I mean, just as far as just the making you feel creeped out, I think
did you guys know that the guy that played that, Edwin Neal, has done a lot of animated cartoon voices and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for DC and stuff, and like the animated Batman cartoon, I believe.
Nice.
Don't quote me, but I think it was actually Mr. Freeze too, and early on in the 80s or the 90s. I always say my life's like Forrest Gump because a lot of weird things have happened. But in 85, I was 15 years old, and Comic Cons and stuff weren't big then, they weren't known of. But there was a horror convention or something in Dallas. And I remember my friend said, hey, the guy that plays Leatherface here and the hitchhiker here. And I said, you got to be kidding me. So we went out there and actually got to meet Leatherface, or, Gunnar Hansen and Edwin Neal. And they were, larger than life to me. And Edwin was doing that thing. He was doing, my brother makes good head cheese. I was like fanboying out and everything. And I told him, I said, someday I'm going to make movies, you guys, and you'll see, and all this kind of stuff. And then fast forward to 2000, I think it was 2010 or 2011 when I went to Texas Frightmare Weekend. They were both there, and I said, hey, I made a movie. I talked to you guys, and I said, I'm sure you don't remember me or whatever, but it was my first movie, Doll Boy, which is a lot like Chainsaw. And I gave them a copy and all that, and that was kind of like a, full circle with that thing with those guys, so that was kind of cool. And the whole fact of getting to know Gunnar a little bit before he passed away and stuff was real cool, too. Same thing with Marilyn Burns, how sweet she was, and it's just sad that these people are passing away so quickly and stuff. So it's just don't wait till tomorrow to tell somebody how great they are. You need to tell them now, if it's your favorite actors and actresses and stuff.
Right. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I was doing a little bit of research today. Something I found interesting was John Larroquette said that do you know how much he was paid to do his opening scene?
I'm surprised he was paid. Was he paid?
Apparently he was paid with a joint.
Yeah.
One joint. I guess that would have been like his first kind of acting gig, I guess, would have been this movie.
Yeah, probably.
He went from this to Night Court.
Dan the man.
Yeah.
I'll say this though too, is in this my new movie, Cowboys from Hell, is one of the big stars in there, and I'm not going to say their name. Really big star. I'm talking. I think they might even won an Academy Award and a Grammy or something. But I got a meeting with them and stuff because of some weed. So
there you go.
It really happens. So,
it brings the world.
Yes, it brings the world.
It brings us all together.
It opens a lot of doors. So it's not my thing, but if I can get it, it can open some doors, and I'm good with that. So.
Yeah, I guess Gunnar Hansen, he'd originally turned down the role because he thought it was too brutal. And then Marilyn Burns talked him into it. I guess they were good friends.
They remain good friends too. I feel like I'm channeling Parrish. You know, he's taught this to me so much. We talked so much Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If you guys had him on, it would be a 12-hour show talking.
Right.
Oh, I would love to talk to him.
That dude, him and Marilyn were like tight, super tight. You know what I mean? It was like it was his sister or something. And I know he was so hurt when she passed away and stuff. But they are really tight. And she told him a lot of great stories that a lot of people have never heard and stuff like that. So it's very impressive.
I guess. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask like what everybody's. I guess we'll go around and talk about our favorite scene of the movie. Or I know we already talked about a couple of them, but I mean one that when you see the cover or something, the first thing that comes into your mind, the first scene that your favorite.
Go ahead, Stephanie. Or Billy. Go ahead, Billy.
Yeah, is it's iconic. It may not be the goriest or whatever, but it was the part that's always resonated with me was the door slam. After hitting the guy in the head with the hammer and his feet kicking, and it was slamming that door out of anger. Like that always stuck with me. And in Doll Boy, we did that. We put a little girl in a van, and my big behemoth clown come and slam that door. And that's what it was, a total rip off of that, just because I love Chainsaw so much. But it's that sideways sliding door. As a kid, I've never seen anything like that, but it just sounded, they had that big sound effect. And it just like terrified me as a kid.
Stephanie?
I think the whole van scene when they pick up the hitchhiker, I think that's my favorite part of my favorite scenes. One of the top ones, I think it's that where it all begins and starts to, that's one of my favorite ones because I don't know, you just, like I said, you can feel how naive they are and just like curious about this guy, even though it's kind of creepy. And it just makes it more like intriguing. So yeah, that's I would say that one.
Yeah, that's the part of the movie where everything starts to go downhill.
Yeah,
where you're just like, all right, this is it. We're in for it now. Mr. Poe, favorite scene?
Oh, the end, the chainsaw dance. That right there. Yeah. The scene, when she's in the back of that truck, she finally gets. It's kind of that part's kind of funny to me as well when she gets the 18-wheeler to stop after it runs over a hitchhiker, and they get in. It's like a little cat and mouse thing. Like he's trying to get him with the chainsaw, and they both run out. Well, she, that truck turns around. She's trying to get in the back, and then she finally does. But the scene that that sticks with me is her where she's just like screaming in freaking terror, man. And then it's like she starts laughing at him because he's way back there and she's all the way, she's laughing at him now. Like, hey, I got away. And that right there that sticks with me. I don't know why. I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. And then of course he's just doing his dance, But yeah, that's my favorite one.
I gotta go with the dinner scene. Where she's tied to the chair. that whole scene is so. I know it wasn't one shot, but it just feels like it's lasting too long, right? Because it's so suspenseful, and you're feeling tense for her, right? And the screaming, and then she's trying to hit the guy in the head, and she just keeps, he's trying to hit her, and he just keeps dropping the, because it's just like.
That is kind of
just come on, get it over with, Well, that's not so much comical. It's just, it's stressful, when you're watching it, just waiting for it to just be over with, I would say that's probably the scene that like impacted me the most.
I guess I'm messed up because I laughed at that part. Kept having to pick it up and put it in.
If you guys think about that though, like how many movies did you see? She was the quintessential final girl. You think about it, and to me is the terror that she showed in the shrillness of her scream and to her eyes, to her tears, to her body language and all that. I mean, it was like flawless. It was way before its time. And if you take her out of that movie and put somebody in that didn't do that good of a performance, it would not be the same movie, no matter how Leatherface, the hitchhiker, Grandpa, any of that stuff was. It's like she was the most perfect part, I thought, in the thing, that it just made it so believable and stuff. Because if it would just go out, because I'm a director and stuff, and I see a lot of auditions, and that's a lot of things you do is you have them cry or something or scream or get scared. And you see sometimes, you know, it's very drama filled in the point of like it being like cartoon and not scary or not. I don't feel it. I just laugh at them. So you can't have that when somebody's getting scared and screaming on film, because then it makes you not, it just makes the person laugh at your movie when you should be feeling some tense stuff in there. So tension. So, I mean, she did what she did was flawless as far as I'm concerned. So she's always been a hero of mine.
Yeah. Now like having a final girl is something they carried on to the sequels too.
They made sequels. I try not to think about those.
Yeah.
I get asked a lot of time on those, like those fan films and stuff like that. And, you know, I've been close before, but I get some people say, well, no, you're just a jackass, Billy. You're not going to do it because it takes you so long to do a regular film. You ain't going to waste your time doing a fan film. But I think it's that too, is like Dollboy could have easily been in the Leatherface world, but to come up with your own character and stuff like that. Now, if somebody comes and says, will you take this movie over? It's like, it's going to be a lot of stress and it'll probably kill me before it's over with, but I would do it because I just want it to be right again. And they're not going to get it right. It's Bulgaria is where they've been filming. And I know they just fired their two new directors over there and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, just stop. They can get it right. I can do it at probably a quarter of their budget, if not even less, and just make it right again. It just needs to go back to the woodshed and make it right again.
Oh yeah.
Well, why do you think that is? Why do you think that in '74 they made this movie on a micro budget, and then now if they're going to remake it, and of course they have, why do they feel like they need to have a multi-million-dollar budget to do the same thing?
Well, I mean, that's a question more on how they're getting ripped off out in Hollywood and stuff like that compared to what these indie filmmakers are pulling out of their butt. That's a lot better. If I wanted to shoot a house, like she was needing a house or something, you could more than likely get a favor from somebody. They're not going to charge you or nothing, or they may take just one small donation or something. But if you try to shoot on a street corner in LA, you know, they're going to charge you $5,000 or $6,000. You're going to have permits pulled and this. Everybody's union, and it's just all that stuff, you know, adds up and stuff like that. So I think when they made their first one, I guarantee you there probably wasn't insurance on the film. There wasn't any of this. It's just it's renegade guerrilla filmmaking. And I guess it's the same thing where they say the White House spends like, you know, $400 on a screwdriver, you know, when it actually costs, you know, $1.50.
Right,
it's just, I think people are taking advantage of the system. Now, why do they get the movie wrong? I mean, that's a whole show in itself too. But I think that it's like if somebody told you to said, hey, we're gonna, you know, we got a band, us four here's got a band, and I go, hey, let's redo Stairway to Heaven. You know, it's like, you're not going to make that better. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? And why would you even take that? So it's tough. So I don't know. I was talking to a buddy, Lee Ankrum, about that the other day, my co-writer and stuff. And I told him, I said, you know, what would happen if I ever did that? I said, I don't know. You know, do you do a Leatherface? Do you do a continuation, or do you make something in the same world or something? It's a tough question. You know, I don't know how to possibly get it right, but I think all they're doing now is saying, well, this will be cool, and this will be like hillbilly, and this is what people do. They'll wear flannels and overalls, and they just missing the spirit of it. You know what I mean? The heart of it, actually, not the spirit, the heart. They're missing the heart of what the movie was really, really, really about, and they're only seeing the aesthetics of what people think they remember about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We talked previously. We talked about The Exorcist on this show before, and we were talking about how, you know, it was you know, really scary, but then whenever they released like the special edition, they put all the stuff in it that you didn't need.
Yeah, you didn't.
And then so now they're going to remake it, and the first poster they have has her walking down the steps backwards, and I'm like, you just missed the whole point. You missed the point of what the movie is. So.
Go back. Were you going to get a spoiler on Facebook in the 70s? You know, where you didn't, you know, you didn't have cell phones, you didn't have internet, you didn't have, and if you were under the age of 12, you didn't read a newspaper, and you know, stuff like. Things are different now. But now here's the hardest part. You know, it's like I say, fuck those guys and those filmmakers in the 70s, because you guys had it easy. Try to keep somebody's attention span when they got a damn phone in their hand. It's a freaking impossibility. People are going to watch. Last night I was on this Shudder fans group page on Facebook, and a friend said I'll get on Prime and watch Circus of the Dead at the same time. I'm thinking, I hate my freaking movie. I don't want to watch it. But I said, you know, fakely, I said, I'll do it. It sounds fun. But guess what? It was a blast. There's probably about 150 people watching my film at one time, but they're all texting or writing on this comment thread as we were watching. And I was thinking, man, I couldn't do that. That would be hard to watch a movie for the first time. So I'm saying we have a different group of people we have to appeal to that they didn't have to then. It's hard. You've got to get their attention and get their attention in some kind of way and not lose them. And if you find an independent film that does that halfway decent, you should stand up and applaud it, because it is a hard damn thing to do, you guys. Get somebody's attention for an hour and a half and say, that wasn't the biggest piece of shit I ever seen. It's tough to do.
Right. Has anybody seen this movie on the big screen?
Well, I showed it on the big screen down here locally a lot.
Oh, did you?
We had private screenings with friends and family down here at the old Ector Theater, and we even shot part of Circus there and another movie there. And now the Marriott bought it, and they took this old theater, right? And behind the old theater, they cleared out had to be 10 city blocks, and they built this high-rise 3 or 4 story Marriott behind it that's built into this old-fashioned movie theater. So it's kind of cool. But I played in that movie theater when it was a piece of junk, but now it's all decked out and sweet and nice. But yeah, we showed. If you look at the marquee in Texas or in Circus of the Dead, whenever they get pulled over in front of that thing, it says Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Jaws, which are 2 of my favorite movies from the 70s.
Nice. Yeah, I would love to see this one on the big screen. I think it would be.
They do it sometimes. What is it? Not Synergy, but one of those things. They do the old films, and they've been doing it a lot on what do you call it? Because of Corona, you should organize some screening and get it out at a drive-in, which would be even cooler. It would be fun to watch.
Yeah, the drive-in would be awesome.
Wouldn't it be neat?
Yeah, they've been doing that around here, because I'm close to Corpus, Billy, and in Bastrop and all that. I think they have a drive-in over there. And what's cool to see on social media, all these different older movies they show them, and I'm it's almost Halloween, but it ain't there yet, and I'm almost positive someone's gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, I think that they have a hell of a time finding out who owns the damn thing. That's what I was going to say earlier. It's that's not, you watch it now and it goes, well, it's really not that gory and that scary, but it's like, this was the shit back in the 70s, man. This made people walk out of the theater like The Exorcist and stuff. This was considered porn when it come out.
Right.
It was even backed by mobsters that were backing porn movies back then. So people didn't want to touch this movie with a 10-foot pole. Which I can relate to too now with my movie, but for them to get the success later in life and stuff, I talked to Gunnar and those guys about that. I mean, they loved every fan that come up to them and told them how great they were and stuff. I think they're very humble with that fact, and they loved it that the film was that. They all done a lot of movies, Chainsaw Hookers and all that, but the only thing anybody wanted to talk about was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So it's a statement on how great that film is. But yeah, I know when I tried to screen it that time, I couldn't find out who really owned it. There's 2 or 3 companies say they owned it, so it was. I think it's in Kim Hinkle's estate now, who's the co-writer of it with Toby Hooper. I believe is where it's coming from. So, but I know somebody owns it because they're making these prequels and sequels and stuff and continuations and stuff. Somebody's getting some money from somewhere for that stuff. To have a film that's getting money. And you have it, you made it back in '74. That's nutty to think about too.
Right. Do you think this was Toby Hooper's best film?
I do, hands down. I mean, Eaten Alive was pretty cool. That's a pretty cool story there, but I don't want to tell anybody about that because that's on my slate of movies to do too. So I'm gonna shut up with that. But on Eaten Alive, he has Robert Englund in it, a young Robert, and he says he's got a great line in there where he comes there and he goes, "My name's Buck and I'm here to fuck." And I'm thinking, somebody stole that line later on in life, didn't they? And everybody thought he was so funny and great and everything. So, yeah, it's in your DNA. I don't think Tarantino rips off purposely. I think he's like me and is a fan of all this stuff. And I think that it's just in his DNA and it accidentally comes out. And if anything, he's just paying tribute to what he loves, I think.
All right. Stephanie, you think this is his best movie?
Yeah, I think so. I really enjoyed that. Hands down. Yeah.
I mean, Poltergeist is good and a different thing, but I watch it now and it's like those effects are rough to watch. They're what they called CGI effects back then are like, you think CGI effects now are bad? Ooh, you need to watch Poltergeist again.
Yeah.
Great movie. But those effects are a little rough on the CGI part of it.
I found the Poltergeist a little frustrating to watch. I don't know why. It was just very frustrating to watch.
I think
yeah.
Steven Spielberg actually directed that one. So
Well, see, but I know different on that too. But cocaine's a hell of a drug.
right.
But I'll say this about that though, about Poltergeists. That's one I actually went. You know, back then your mom could drop you off at the movie theater. I'm probably older than you guys, and she dropped me and the brother off to go see Poltergeist, and I want to say we saw it 2 straight weekends.
Wow.
That was a quality ass movie when I was a kid. I thought, wow, this is scary ass stuff. So we loved it like that, and it's hard to hold up. But even the original Elm Street, to me now, when I watch it, it's more comical than it was scary. But I remember seeing that in the theater too in the '80s when it first came out, and it was pretty terrifying too. I just think that we're seeing GIs get their heads cut off for real, and bad videos posted online. We're just getting tainted and on what is actually scary or not scary anymore. It's just the limits being pushed every year, and that with brutalness and stuff like that. So you got to push the envelope though if you're going to be a filmmaker though, because you got to have that in there.
Like this desensitized, I guess you could say.
That's a good word. Yes, very much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right, man. Because a lot of the stuff that comes out there, they try, but I mean, it's just, you know, like you said, real life is a little bit more scary now.
Yeah.
You know, not to say that this shit weren't going on before the internet, but now that we have it, we actually see it firsthand.
Well, you got these people dying. As we were shooting Dollboy, and that's when Michael Jackson died. And who's the Billy Mays guy? What was that guy's name? He died too around that time, and everybody's freaking out. But if you think about it, is we're so attached to everything, you're just hearing about it more now. In the old days, you'd have probably just read about it in a paper, and there was no social media, so some people didn't even hear about it if you didn't see it on Entertainment Tonight or on the news. So I think now we're just so connected, and celebrities and musicians and older people are dying off at a record pace, you know, the older we get, and that's just part of life. So it's just like those classic rock bands. There's no classic rock bands you're hearing now that you're going to say, and, you know, your grandkids are going to say, oh, that was really great, you know. It's a once-in-a-lifetime generation, and those movies, just like that music, you know, with Zeppelin, that's where you get The Exorcist, that's where you get Chainsaw, 78's Halloween. I mean, that's stuff that can't be recreated. Somebody was arguing the other day about Rob Zombie's Halloween being better than, what's his name, John Carpenter's. And I was like, after I stopped, you know, laughing, I wrote a thing. It's like, that's the quintessential Blueprint, say what you will. And this other guy was saying, well, he couldn't even get through it. You know, he tried 3 times, but put the phone down, buddy, and try. It's a good movie. But what do you want now? Do you want them skydiving from a jet airplane with the machine gun and a jetpack?
Michael Myers.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like
Under Siege
then you
3.
get the chainsaw. The next chainsaw is like, well, what will make this Texas Chainsaw better? What if his chainsaw was bigger? It's like, that'll do it.
No, I got it, man.
Yeah.
Both of his arms are chainsaws.
It gets a little silly, so just go back to the basics is what I say. And I don't know. I wish somebody would, and you know what, Aaron, maybe they will someday. I mean, because I try to promote it as much as possible, but it would be nice. But I tell you what, if I did I would drop off social media and let my assistants and stuff take my phone and stuff. I wouldn't let any outside influence come in any way, shape, form, or read anything online once I can start that. So that way it doesn't create any doubt in my mind or something and freak me out, because it's a big undertaking, because everybody that's come before you has failed. And I don't care what anybody says, you know. So, but that one they made in Bulgaria, this last one, Leatherface, they went to a barbecue place in there. It was like no barbecue place I've ever seen before. That wasn't even California. Yeah, I was like, have they even seen a barbecue place before? And that's the kind of stuff that bothers me, is that kind of stuff. So
yeah, see, when it comes to like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's not as bloody as you remember it. It's not as gory as you remember it. It's characters, and it's the story and the acting and the setting and the way it made you feel. That's what makes it a great movie. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't even need one drop of blood. And it was
look at they're doing on that music too, is with the forks on the tin, scraping and stuff like that. They're doing that all the time now. Now I'm sure they weren't the first to use it, but that was the first time I ever noticed it. You know, hitting bed springs or piano strings or something. You know, forks on this and that, scraping. But it's got a really good soundtrack too. But if you listen to like that, or like The Witch, which I liked a lot, recently.
Oh yeah.
Is the soundtrack on it too. So them doing something avant-garde with the soundtrack is I kind of dig too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because I'm doing Cowboys from Hell, and everybody goes, "Are you going to use Pantera?" And I'm like, "Do I look like somebody that can afford a Pantera song?"
Yeah, right.
Like, no, I'm not using it. But I mean, I wish I could, but I don't. Maybe for the trailer or something. But it's not that kind of movie. I like to do what people don't expect you to do. You know, like the clowns is. The only reason I made Circus of the Dead was because I was like, fuck all these shitty clown movies and stuff like this. It's like they're all doing it wrong. I said it should just be a crazy person that happens to be dressed up like a clown and not, you know, oh, we got 20 clowns in a car. Oh, he's got a lot of balloons. Oh, it's cliche, 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 cliche. And that's what they do with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Take the cliche-ness out of things and get back to the heart of what it's about. It's not about the chainsaw.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That title just sold and made the money is all it did. It wasn't about the chainsaw.
It would, yeah. I don't. Do you think it would have had a bigger impression if it was the original title, which I believe was Head Cheese?
No, I think it would have come to obscurity. I love the title, but no, it would have fell into obscurity.
All right.
But
Yeah.
that goes back to the perfect storm, you guys, or lightning in a bottle. It's like that name with that cast, with that director where he was in his life, with that cinematographer, with those sound guys, with those effects people, with that set designer and that location. It was the perfect storm. You know,
Right.
it's almost hard to really, really do. And I'm not saying we're a pimple on Texas Chainsaw Massacre's ass, but I think we got it still more right than most other damn movies and stuff like that. Now, I know you haven't gotten through it yet, Carey. I don't understand what's going on with that.
I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna finish it.
If you got time to wipe the ass, you got time to watch the movie. Now, but watch past credits and stuff like that too. So always put in bonus scenes too.
Okay.
But start it from the beginning. And what I tell people is like the no bullshit answer is I know part of the first of the movie is kind of a little sticky and dry, but I'm saying you get through 15 minutes, I'm going to turn it up to 10 and you're not going to be bored. I promise you. Just get through the first 15, 20 and I promise you I won't let you down.
Well, I'm going to finish it and then we're going to cover it on this show in a future episode.
Get you some Cheetos, pull your pants down, and just watch the movie. Put the phone down.
I'll have to remember that. So, Stephanie, whenever you watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre now, does it have the same effect that it had when the first time you watched it?
Nope. No, I was young. I was probably like 15 years old when I watched it, and maybe even younger than that, maybe 10, and I was scared. I was scared just because the chainsaw, you know, the mask, that's what I was scared of. But then now watching it as I'm older, it's like it's not as scary, but I can appreciate it better, you know, because I'm seeing past the chainsaw, the mask, and the special effects is not there's a lot of it there, but it's not so gory, you know, like you actually can enjoy the movie and they don't have to like overdo it with too much blood just to cover up their mistakes or whatever, you know. So back in the day, it was more scary for me because I was focused on, you know, but now I can appreciate it for what it is, you know. It's the acting and how it was portrayed and stuff like that. It was pretty good actually. It's not. It was a little comical for me. I'm not gonna lie. It's not, you know, certain parts. And like I said, I mean, just like Aaron, I mean, I may not be that, you know, like I may not feel bad or whatever, but I laugh at certain things, like when the grandpa was sucking on the finger. To me, it was gross, but kind of funny, you know. And how that man has survived looking like that, I just don't know. Yeah. But it was interesting, you know. It got me, and it, you know, it's just the older movies, they were scary to me. Now it's more, I can appreciate them better. And all these new remakes, like I really don't like to watch the remakes because I like the older version. It's always so much better, regardless of whether the special effects sucks or not. You know, I can appreciate them now than when I was younger because, like I said, you focus so much on the scary part than the actual movie when you're younger. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed watching it again and being able to focus on what's really going on than the scary parts, you know.
Right. Mr. Poe?
Oh, they both said it best. I mean, as you get older, you do appreciate different things and seeing how they did it. I'm always, I love watching movies from the 60s, 70s, and, till now. And it's still, this is one of those movies that still amaze me that they did it, how they did it, and it still sticks today. I mean, you can see someone and say, hey, have you seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre? And they say no. Or I work with younger people. Oh yeah, I saw it in 2003. No, you didn't see it then.
Yeah.
Check out the original. And yeah, it makes me feel old. I'm not that old, but I go back, and I think a lot of that today is missing. With younger people, because when I was in my 20s or whatever, I would always go back. I love watching movies, and a lot of people don't do that, man. I mean, it's a shame, because this movie is something that people need to experience, especially if you like horror. So, and I always love messing with people. I bet you do too, Billy. People that are not from Texas, they ask you, "Is it real?" Oh yeah, that really happened.
Well,
yeah, don't go out there.
The 60s and 70s had something, and even the 80s for the most part. I mean, it's Killer Clowns from Outer Space is a great movie.
Oh,
it's a great movie. It's a comedy and stuff like that. But even like she was saying, laughing at it, it's okay to laugh at Chainsaw, because there are some parts in there that you laugh at, and that's the whole reason you love Evil Dead 2 and all this kind of stuff, is the fun stuff. But what they had in the old days, they had filmmaking, and even if it wasn't the greatest movie, they tried. The camera was in focus. You could hear sound. But what's happening now with these indie directors and stuff, it's like, well, we don't have a mic. We just got this mic on the camera. Oh, it'll be good enough. It's like, no, motherfucker, it's not good enough.
No.
Quit cutting these corners. You've watched all these films that you go, oh, I love 78 John Carpenter. I go, well, I just watched your fucking film. Why does it suck so much? Then did you learn anything from the movie? Every movie you watch, you learn something from. And Billy, why is Texas Chainsaw Massacre your all-time favorite horror movie? And I said because A, Brokeback Mountain isn't a horror movie. But no, I'm just saying. I say it's my favorite movie because I learned so much of it that I put into my filmmaking DNA, and that's what's lacking now, is because anybody can take their phone and try to make a damn movie, but it ain't no movie. Just because you film and put something out, don't call yourself a filmmaker. Entertain me and then call yourself a filmmaker. And I ain't putting anybody down, and I'll pay it forward to anybody and help anybody out, but try and work and do a little bit of effort. Don't let the first thing you do is make your business card and put the fake blood splats on it and then call yourself a director or a filmmaker. You know what I mean? Do your content and build up your reputation with something that you're proud of and not embarrassed of, and then I'll give you respect.
Right. That's correct. All right. Well, this was a good episode. I enjoyed talking about this movie with you guys. Before we get out of here, Stephanie, I know you probably got to get off here and go to work.
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell us what you give us some information on what you're working on, what you got coming up, and where people can find you on the internet.
You can find me on Instagram at Steph Special Effects, or you can find me on Facebook on Skin Deep FX. Currently going to be working, it's for next year on the film, the fan film Sawyer Massacre. We have that Indiegogo campaign going right now. I have the link up on my Facebook page. If anyone is interested in taking a look at it, we have some really good perks, for anyone that wants to purchase any of that. We are going to have the replica of the face, the leather face, and you can also get some of the DVDs and I think it's a Blu-ray as well. So it's I'm hoping that it turns out. I hope we can meet the expectations of what you guys are looking for.
It sounds like you're going to have to get pretty high to beat Billy's expectations.
Oh yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah, don't take things personally, you guys, because I seen y'all's thing come through there, and I want to donate. So I just got to wait for a little bit more money before the wife kills me, because I do so many indie GoFundMes and stuff like that. I gotta make sure I get it approved. once a month, but I'll do it, and I'll check out what you guys do and stuff. And even if I can find a location down here, I got a lot of free stuff you could use, and
Awesome.
it wouldn't hurt you guys to have me around on set. So
There you go.
Definitely.
but
Yeah,
anyway, yeah, I mean, good luck with that and stuff. I think it could work out. And like I said, I'll hook you up with Parrish, and he's the king of Texas, so he'd be somebody you guys need to talk to.
Okay. Yeah, send me his information when you have an opportunity, because I'd like to forward that to Steve. I know he's trying to find a location because he really wants to get to it come next September. So
Okay.
we have a lot of work.
All right. Billy, what do you got coming up in the near future?
People can find me on Grindr under Pimp Daddy 69. Bestiality is welcome and preferred, because I'm really into pink crayons. Isn't that weird about pink crayons that they write white though? No, I would just tell people to go to Amazon Prime, watch Circus of the Dead, leave a review, good or bad. Watch past credits if you watch it. Put your damn phone down, Carrie, and pull those pants down and get the shows to watch it, and just give it a chance. It's a lot of movies that I think a lot of people may not like or something, and I bet you they didn't give it a fair shake. So put the distractions down. You owe it to the filmmaker to do that stuff, and that's a fight with myself too. I know I can't pay attention and I won't start the movie. That's why I like going to the movie theaters, because I said, shoot, I'm paying for this. I'm going to pay attention like crazy. Because you owe it to the filmmaker. So just look after the filmmaker. They work their butts off in most cases. So
I'll be watching it, Billy.
Yeah.
okay.
And then
Watch
what?
past credits.
And what do you got coming up next?
Cowboys from Hell's coming up next. And what I did with clowns is I wanted to make the clown movie that was the anti-clown movie, the anti-cliche clown movie. And what I'm doing with this one is making the anti-cliche Western horror movie. Is what I'm going to try to do. So.
All right. And you're not doing like an Indiegogo or anything for it?
We might when it gets to it. And I don't ever do that because I don't want to. I always feel like I only have one big load in me, and I don't want to blow that load too soon. So I'm trying to save it for a special occasion. So we'll see. I do know, like, I'm buying because I'm not going to do any CGI gunfire or squibs or none of that stuff, because I hate that stuff. So we're going to use real guns, real blanks and stuff like that with the specialists on set. But I'm thinking about auctioning those guns off. You know what I mean? Because each one will be detailed and nice, so they'll be like one of a kind and should be worth a couple of $1,000 each. And if that ever becomes like a popular movie or something, they'd probably be priceless, because every character I have in here, I got about 25 different characters, and they're all just as cool as Mr. Blister was in Circus of the Dead. That was my goal in this one, is to make as many cool characters that people will never forget. This is kind of a one of those movies that you're going to find one character in there that you relate to, because it kind of covers the spectrum on every, sex, religion, race, creed, and everything in this movie. So, and awesome. We're not sacred to anything. We go after everything by the jugular in this one. So it'll be unlike anything you guys have seen.
Sounds exciting. I can't wait. Mr. Poe, where can they find you on the internet?
He's on Grindr with me.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I was here. I thought that was going on.
Yeah, Grindr, Power Bottom 2019. Now, they call me Mr. Poe on Instagram and Slasher app, and of course on B Movie TV Sunday nights 8 p.m. Sci-Fi Sideshow, and that channel's on Roku. Oh, and before I forget, the video on demand does drop September 11th.
September 11th. That's a bad day. You should have picked another date.
Well, Ken said on the Facebook group, he said, well, this will be remembered as something good on this day. But yeah, I wanted to say that, but almost forgot.
All right, pretty exciting, All right, you can find me on Twitter at 1313.8. Of course, you can find this show and the Sci-Fi Sideshow on our Facebook group, which is 1313.8 Productions. And don't forget, we have a store on our TeePublic store. You can get nice stickers like these, and we have T-shirts. And then here's a sticker of our old logo. And then we have T-shirts on there, pillows, hoodies, whatever you want, phone cases. So make sure you go on there and pick you up something that helps us on this show here. Gives us a little bit of money.
I had no clue what show I was even on until you did that.
There you go.
I swear on my life I did not know I was on. Was it Beneath the Podcast?
A podcast from beneath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really did. I knew Aaron from somewhere, and I never say no to people.
No, I appreciate it, man. I missed
That's
you
probably
a couple
because
times.
Aaron told you were going to be on his show. That's what it was.
No,
You decided it was the Aaron show.
I do it for any weirdo like Aaron. It doesn't matter. I feel like when you get a movie out there, you got to be a pimp and talk to everybody about it. Now, I'll tell you one more story before we go. Is his last name's Poe. Do you know what my middle name is?
Poe?
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
And if you even spell, my mom was white and she didn't spell it right on the birth certificate, so it's actually H-O-E. It should have been H-O. So that's why I always remembered Aaron.
yeah.
You know, when we meet, it's because of Poe and Ho. So that's why I remember him. So.
I have the Circus of the Dead poster that you guys signed for me, and then I have the little the postcard, and it says "Poe Ho loves you." So that's in my frame.
All right.
So, but yeah, thanks guys again. I know Stephanie, you're busy, so are you, Billy, and I mean, you guys are doing some awesome stuff, and I really appreciate you coming out here and talking to us, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and just lose my contact information, and y'all never call me again, okay?
Okay, yeah, no problem.
You're so funny.